And the word that we most associate with Mother's Day is love. And that leaves me with a question, which is a title for today's talk. What is love anyway? We use that word a lot, right? We sing it in our songs like we did today. We use it in our prayers. We say it to each other. It's very common these days. I hear, people as they're saying goodbye on the phone, love ya, Well, our English language uses one word, love, in all kinds of situations. From I love my best friend, to I love chocolate, to I love a rainy day. From the superficial to the profound, from the personal to the universal. We use this one word, love. And no wonder there is so much confusion, well, in my mind anyway, about what love is. So first of all, let's narrow it down just a little bit. In Unity, when we talk about love, we're very clear that we are talking about divine love. We are speaking about one of the spiritual gifts that we were born with, that is part of who we are, incorporated into our divine nature. So we have the source of infinite love within us. It is not something we create. We do not need to find more love or to get more love. Infinite love lives right here within us. We cannot have access to more love than we have right now. So as with all of our spiritual gifts, we express this divine love through our human, right? And through our human nature. In the 50s, there was some research being done about children growing up in orphanages. And they noticed that some thrived and some did not. So they looked at how they were being brought up. And they noticed that when children were mostly left alone and just provided with their physical needs, that they didn't do as well physically, emotionally, mentally, as those who were spoken to and who were loved, held. The ones who did the best received affection from the staff. And the conclusion of this research was that children need to be loved, that we needed to give love to them. So this was a step in the right direction. But over time, further research was done, and studies revealed a different conclusion. That children did not thrive because somebody loved them. They did well when they were able to love, to be loving, to express and give love to someone or something else. Children were not empty of love and needed to be filled up. They were already naturally loving, and what they needed was an outlet for it. And once they were provided with that, they really thrived. Here's another example at the other end of our life spectrum. A friend of mine goes to seniors' homes every year with a bag filled with small wrapped gifts. And he gives a few to each person. Not as gifts to them, but so that they had gifts to give. They're not able to go out and shop. Their friends there have birthdays, there's Christmas, there's visitors that come in, and this way they would have a little gift to give, because we need to give love. We feel good when we give, right? When we have an outlet for love. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, has some very profound and prophetic ideas about love. And I think we've got one of them on a slide. Did that happen? Yeah, here we go. Love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. Without love, we should lose contact with our Mother Earth. And losing that, we should fly off into space. That's a big thought. Joins everything in divine harmony, everything in the universe. And if we were to lose contact with that, we would fly off. And I think I've got one more quote there, Kyle, thank you. Gravity is humankind's name for love. It's interesting that he wrote this around 1908 or 1910 or something like that. And now, what astrophysicists are discovering about the universe is becoming more and more known, and one of them is that there is no such thing as the gravity that we know of as gravity. So maybe it is love. Thanks, Kyle. Charles Fillmore also says we need to exercise our love center. He says, directing divine love toward anything will break up opposing thoughts and negativity and hate. Exercise our love center. Direct divine love. Well, how do we do that? I like this analogy, and you'll forgive me if you've heard me use it before, but honestly, I cannot think of a better analogy for the wholeness of divine love. So, perhaps way back when, or sometime you've been to a dance, maybe they still do it now, where they put up one of those balls with all the mirrors around it. It's got like 100 little mirrors, and all the little lights go flashing. They turn it, and all the lights flash while the dance is going on, or something like that. So if we think of each little mirror as being an out-picturing of the wholeness of divine love, we can see, in the same way that those mirrors reflect the divine love, that there are hundreds of ways of expressing love. So I'm going to give you a few, and then I'd like to hear some from you. I'll start you off. Generosity is an expression of love. Humility, courtesy. What else? Understanding. Friendship. Listening, yes. Appreciation. Respect. Compassion. Chocolate. So you get the idea? I've got acceptance, non-judgment, openness, forgiveness, respect, tenderness, compassion, caring, sincerity, good temper, unselfishness, courtesy. There are hundreds of ways. When love seems too big, it's like, oh yeah, I should really practice love. It's like, well, give me a clue or give me a hint or something. There's hundreds of them. When we are considering how we can direct our divine love, we could perhaps focus just on one of those. Lately, I've made a commitment when I go out driving to be actively looking for ways to demonstrate courtesy. Just watching, not just focused on where I'm going and what I need to do, but watching for opportunities to let somebody in or to make sure the pedestrian has all the time they need to cross the crosswalk. And that's me directing the power of divine love is through courtesy. Charles Fillmore goes on to say this: the love current is not a projection of will. It is a setting free of a natural, equalizing, harmonizing force. Setting free a natural, equalizing, harmonizing force. Well, let's start with natural. One of the first things that comes to mind when I read this is that if there is any sense of work or trying to be loving, it's an indicator I'm already out of alignment with it. That because we're freeing a force. We're not making something happen. We're not trying to establish a goal. There is no goal, there is no outcome, there is no expectation. Like, well, if I send love to you, maybe you'll be nicer to me. Or if I love my neighbor, maybe they'll be quieter after 10 o'clock at night. No. Let's not get in the way of the power of love with our preconceived ideas about what it can do or how it can change someone or something. This is a force that is holding the whole universe in place. So let's get out of the way and let it do its thing. What does Charles Fillmore mean when he says equalizing, harmonizing? Equalizing, like balancing scales, right? Unequal creates chaos, confusion, dis-ease. When we come to a place of equilibrium, we're at rest, we're at peace, there's no effort. Harmonizing. Well, we've all heard singers and instruments playing together. If one is out of key or out of sync, what do we hear? Ugh, discord, right? Puts us on our edge. And when we're in harmony, we experience joy, satisfaction, peace. So I invite you to consider when you are expressing divine love that you are contributing to the harmony, to the atmosphere of harmony in our world. And here's the how-to. Charles Fillmore says, "Do not be afraid to pour out your love upon all the so-called evil in the world. Declare that what seems evil has somewhere a good side, which shall, through your persistent affirmation of its presence, be made visible." I'm just going to read that again. Do not be afraid to pour out your love upon all the so-called evil in the world. Declare what seems evil has somewhere a good side, which shall, through our persistent affirmation of its presence, be made visible. The more we bring love into our conscious awareness, the stronger it grows within us. Do not be afraid to pour out your love. We are tapping into an infinite source. We can't use it up. We can be continually drawing from this source every moment, every hour, every day of our lives. Declare that everything has a good side. I'm not saying it's visible. I'm not saying I always see it at work. I'm not even expecting to ever see it. But I know it's there. How do I know this? That good is present everywhere? It's our first principle. One power, one present, all good, everywhere present. And that means within each and every one of us on this whole planet, no exceptions. So a song came to mind when I was preparing this talk. I'm going to give you a couple notes here. What does the world need right now? Love, sweet love. For who? Everyone. Thank you, Nico. Really? Everyone? I don't know about you, but when I look at everything in my world and everyone in my world, it sounds a little daunting. It's easy to love babies and puppies and our friends. It's easy to love the ones who agree with us, who like us, the ones that we think are good. But what about your neighbor with the noisy parties? What about the person who banged into your fender and didn't leave a note? What about the person who opened fire on a crowd of people? It is possible to hold the intention of divine love in your heart. Declare that good is present. We can practice this wherever we are, with others and with ourselves. This is our purpose for being, to free this harmonizing, equalizing force. I'm going to close with a few words from Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth. And he says this: loving is keeping in the flow of the cosmic process. It's letting your light shine and keeping the lights turned on. Not because the world needs the light, and it probably does. Not because your family needs the light, and they probably do, but because you need to keep your light turned on.